Stupid thing. Hey guys, I just figured out how to do an intro video, like just now as I clicked. So you won't be seeing that tonight, but expect one next week. We're gonna try to kind of promote the Patreon. Not next week, but New Year's. Won't be back till January. So we're gonna try to promote the Patreon. If we're gonna do this again every week, like let's do it, right? So this month looks like it's gonna be Turtle Month. So or whatever they are, testidones. Did I do that right? Is that right? Sam's here, I think. Sam will tell me. Testiculones? Juglones? I don't know. So tonight we're going to talk about turtles and their husbandry, which is a broad category. So we're not going to touch on everything, obviously. Testudine. I was close. I was so close. I think I was hungry for Italian food. That switched it around. So anyway, we are going to talk Pygmy Sneezes. I don't know who that is, but hey, bud. That's a new person, maybe. Or someone we don't see often. Where was I? I'm already off to the races. So anyway, today, I get this chance very rarely. I think it's happened, well, most of the people I interview here become friends, online friends, which is a weird distinction to make. I still consider them friends. Like, I've made so many great friends. It's hard to start naming people, but like to put it, everyone knows Wally, Russ, Cheyenne Boots from over at I can't remember his stupid isopod seller name. No, it was a great name, but I can't remember what it is. Anyway, all these people that are literally friends now. Sam's going to be on the show. So does Exotics. Sam's going to be on next week. We'll be best friends, I can tell. It's going to be awesome. Let's see. So this is one of my good in-person friends. I've been friends with Doug almost 30 years, almost 30 years, something like that. I think I was a little baby 21-year-old when we met. So yeah, that's 29 years ago, give or take. So wild stuff. So Doug just has been keeping turtles on and off. He had to take a break. But he had a pretty great setup for breeding mud turtles and musk turtles, I believe. I don't remember. They weren't mine. But he did a lot of stuff. Pod Solo, that was it. He did a lot of stuff in that mud turtle avenue. And what I remember most, that intrigued me the most, is he had this massive acrylic tank that was like a mixed species paludarium style thing. Where paludarium's loose. It was a terrarium for them, or an aquarium with the topper on it, right? The handmade basking topper thing that went on top, and it was so choice. I loved it. There was always something to look at, fish and turtles and the whole deal. But without further ado, let's bring my buddy Dougie Fresh to the forefront. Dougie
Fresh.
Dougie Fresh. Actually, now that we got over our ages, it's Dougie not so fresh. So
no, not so fresh. Maybe overripe, maybe that.
So did I get that right? We've been friends like 29 years? On and off?
Let's see. I'm 52. We met when you were 21.
Yeah.
So
I'm 50 now. That's
31 years,
29 years. That's wild. That's the winner chicken dinner.
Yeah, it has been.
Basically. Yeah. Longest.
Yeah. I'm surprised I still have my sanity knowing you that long.
That's why we had to take breaks, I think. So we've taken a couple breaks, but we're back at it.
Yeah.
Hot and heavy. It's good times. So, all right. So you're getting back into turtles. So after hiatus, you're getting back into like not full on breeding.
No, yeah. So I started off, as a kid, I'd keep anything from like sliders to cooters to snapping turtles, any of that kind of stuff. But
I'm such a 10-year-old. I can't hear the word cooter without laughing every time.
Yeah.
Every time it's funny. It's so awful. I'm so like delinquent. It's bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Then through high school, I did a little bit of that too. And then, once you get out in the work world and everything like that, you kind of lose touch. I always had animals, but like the turtle aspect of it, I kind of like put off to the side. And then I was actually trying to reconnect with my kids
Oh,
and I was talking about getting turtles, and the boys were really excited about it. So I started looking online, and this is the first time I had really started to look online, and all these species that I always dreamed about having, I'd seen in these books and everything were available that you could get.
yeah.
And I had stupid amount of money. So I bought a stupid amount of shit. And I just bought and bought. And I had all these different varieties of all these different species. And I mean, my basement, the tank you're referring to had a lot of different species in it that in hindsight I was very lucky with because they didn't tear each other apart. Um,
Okay.
because I had everything from mud turtles to diamondback terrapins to like pink-bellied side necks. Like I had all sorts of stuff in there. Um, and it was just like this one big like community thing that I tried, and amazingly enough, it actually worked out where none of them got like bit limbs off and stuff.
I think it
But
had to
then I
do with
went
the
into
size.
just
Yeah.
what's that?
How big was that tank? I think a lot of that had to do with the size of the
That
tank,
that
like
was
the
180
glass
gallon.
tank. But that's
Yeah,
all.
yeah, it was 180.
I don't mean to. I don't
Yeah,
mean
the
to like
video that the video
shit
that
on
you've
that,
got is
but
a 200. Yeah, the
okay.
video the one that you have is a 200. That's 7 by 2.
Was there a video? That was a while ago. You sent me that, right? A couple weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
have
quite a
that
bit.
pulled up for this. So okay.
Anyway, um, so then I started getting to meet some of the local guys that specialized in like different avenues. Like some would focus on albinos, the other ones would focus on like diamondback terrapins. And this guy Ronnie Hare that I met, I was actually selling some of my turtles off because now I was starting to like focus on just specific types. Um, and he had came by and got some, and he told me to come over his house and check out some of the stuff he had, and he was focused very much on mud and musk turtles.
Okay.
And when I saw these, and there's the one thing, a couple things I liked about him was one that oh, oh, cool, yeah, you went to Arizona, right? Was he just out in Arizona?
Very sexy fellow.
Very
That's coming from
sexy fellow.
Sam.
Yes, he is. Yes,
Sam's a
he is.
snack and a half. That's coming from Sam. That's wild. That okay. This guy's got to
No,
be something
no,
else.
Ronnie's yeah, he's like a brick shit house now. Um, yeah, I knew
Yeah.
Ronnie when he was a little skinny fella that could barely pick up his own weight. Um, so I met him and I went to his house, and this is the guy that I was searching through his stuff, and he didn't even remember that he had it. There was so much stuff down there, and uh, it got me hooked. One because the mud musk turtles are for the majority of them are small. So when
Okay.
you're keeping them in a rural environment, to be able to keep them in a basement or aquariums or anything like that's a lot easier. You get diamondback terrapins or anything like that, they get a lot larger. They need a lot more volume of water. It's just easier keeping the mud musk turtles. And then I just got to just kind of fall in love with the just different varieties. Um, and then yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, I was at that meeting. Um, and I just kind of fell in love with it. And one thing that happened was I kind of like I had the kids involved because I had all these different species, but like singular parts in the beginning, like the one that you saw, they had them
Yeah.
all named, and they had like the book that described like what the species was, and they gave them all names and everything like that. Well, when I went into breeding, I got rid of all that, and I focused
Yeah.
on
I know it sucked.
getting breeding groups and stuff like that. And then the kids hated it
I was
because
never more upset with you. Never.
yeah, I know. Um, but so one of the things that I did, and I'm sure Sam, he might know this guy too, is Curtis. Curtis Lipcomb, he had these Tabasco mud turtles. And I was at Daytona at the reptile show there with him. First year I met him. And he was talking about these turtles and how small they were and how like the colors and everything like that. So I got a chance to
Let me
see
pull up
some
some
of these,
pics.
and they were fantastic. Um, yeah,
It's
that's
these
one of
guys,
them there.
right?
And they were small, like that's an adult right there. And they were small. And the one of the main things was is there was not a lot of people that was working with them, which I couldn't believe. because of just the colors and stuff like that.
Well, they're
So
not
I
hard to keep,
find
right? They're not difficult.
no, they're not. They're not hard at all. The interesting thing about mud musk turtles is, and this is a little controversial, but you don't really need the UVB basking areas for them because they
Okay.
typically don't need it. Um, I've always provided it, but more often than not, they don't even use it. Um,
They're mostly aquatic,
but
right? They basically stay in the water most of the time, don't they?
majority of the time, they do come out and they'll bask, but it's more like they just get themselves out of the water and kind of dry themselves off. Majority of the turtles that if they don't get out and dry off every once in a while, they'll start to get shell rot and some other things like that if they get
Sure.
any kind of imperfections in their past run and that kind of stuff. But um, I got involved in the breeding process of it. So that I was keeping let's see, at one time, including hatchlings and stuff, I probably had 400 turtles downstairs in that one room.
So
So, but I
let's
was
go
I
over
was
that real
selling
quick.
hatchlings off and stuff too. Well, I was selling hatchlings and stuff off too. So
Yeah.
one of the aspects of breeding that I liked was it was putting other ones in a hobby that weren't wild caught. Wild caught is definitely
Right.
not something that you ever want to do.
We
Um,
were just talking about that the last like 3 episodes in a row. We've been talking about wild caught versus
yeah,
captive
yeah,
bred.
yeah. No, wild caught's like the worst thing you can do. I mean, they're already having to deal with habitat loss and like these particular type of turtles, uh, like this red cheek and the Tabasco muds. There's white lip muds and some other ones that are from right around the Bezel, Mexico area, and
Okay.
there's no importing from them at all. So
Sure.
for us to get something from there, it has to go to Europe and then it has to turn around and come here. So that really limited on how much of the wild caught stuff was coming in, which is something that I supported and I liked because we can breed them here for, say, the pet trade or
Yeah.
just keepers that want to have them. There's a lot of people that just have them just because they enjoy having them themselves, which is what I'm getting back into.
Which
What
is
I
great.
found was that I was doing so much breeding that I lost the hobby part, and it was more of a business part.
You lose a lot of the
And
passion. I feel like it's hard to keep that passion going. So I
um,
hear that a lot. I hear that a lot from people. Their passion
well,
goes toward like production more than like not that it's like over the top. They're not keeping their animals well, but their focus is more on like the production than the actual like enjoying the animals. There's too much
yeah,
time taken away
I
from being able to just enjoy them.
I was lucky because I really focused on the husbandry first
Sure.
for all of the breeding tanks and stuff that I had. So that way I didn't have to spend that much time on them at all. So that I could focus on actually enjoying the animals and the breed and the hatching a turtle. Every time you hatch a turtle, it's like a first time for me.
Yeah, it's cool.
Every time
It's
that little
cool.
head pokes out, it's an amazing thing. Um,
Let's get into your setup here real quick. This is why I pulled this back up. I mean, this is a handsome
Sure.
turtle, but let's see where. Okay, this is white lips. You said right?
Yeah, that's a southern white lip actually.
Okay.
There's
This is a
southerns and
juvenile.
northerns.
This is a little guy.
Yeah, that's only 3 months old, I think.
Okay. Oh yeah. So it's a
It's
little guy.
tiny, so it's about maybe 2 inches long. Uh, oh, and Sam, I'm going to be using all general terms. I'm not going to get into the Latin names because I figure half the people here won't know those. So
I told him. I told him they will, but
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
not the other
Well,
half.
maybe
I won't
they
know.
might, but yeah, I'm going to stick it this way. It's easier.
Half the
That
people in
those
this interview won't know them. I promise you that. Half the people in
yeah.
this interview
So
won't know
this one
them.
on screen here, this is a yellow mud, and that is actually endangered in the state that we're in. And I had permits so I could keep those. And my intent was is that I wanted to re-release to kind of like repopulate the areas. The problem is that uh, I they don't allow you to repopulate. So I had all these different projects that I was trying to do for the like Illinois conservation, and they basically told me that if I bred them, they would come in and euthanize them because they wouldn't be able I wouldn't be able to release them. And
I
because
remember
my
this
permit only
tragic
had so many
story.
animals on it, I couldn't keep them either.
I've heard
So
a couple things. I asked around about that, and so one of the things I heard is that being captive bred, they can acquire pathogens that they wouldn't have in the wild. It's kind of like that
That's correct.
thing
Yeah.
with giving people infected blankets. It could wipe them out unintentionally. So
Yeah.
it could do more harm than good. So what is this, Elaine? My interest in turtles began when I was gifted an eastern and western box turtle. That's exactly what I want now. Then I started to get interested in ice pods, grasshoppers, mealworms, earthworms, and prickly pear fruit. That's Elaine. I don't know who you are, but that is a wild mix. I
Yeah.
love my new viewers the most. I think. I don't know. No, it's not true.
Yeah. I mostly
good.
stuck with the water turtles, which in hindsight, when you think about it, those are the harder ones to keep because you have to deal with the water and everything like that. Where say like a box turtle or a tortoise, you're looking for space for them to roam and their heat needs and that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I mean,
I
each
don't
one
think
has some
there.
challenges.
Yeah, I don't think there's an easy one. I think, especially a smaller turtle, you can do a lot with your filtration to kind of mitigate. I mean, you
Yeah. Well,
definitely
what I
have
was
to do
dealing with,
more
so
water changes.
my wife is very forgiving about some of the stuff that I've kept. She has not had to deal with the crazy things. I was when I was 13 years old, and Josh, I think he'll remember this. There was a pet shop in the mall that
Our living
would
things.
yeah, and it
Do
would
you
have
remember
all
the
sorts of
monkey?
crazy. Yeah, the monkey. Yeah.
I
So
met that
I
monkey
bought.
like 15 years ago. I met that
Yeah.
monkey. She's retired.
See, so you remember the Caymans that they had? They'd
Yes,
have the Caymans every once in a while. I bought one,
dude.
and I brought it home, and they sold it to me. 13.
Sure.
They sold it to me, and then I
They
had
didn't
it in my
care.
bathtub. I had it in my bathtub because I didn't have anywhere else to put it. It was one of those things where it was an impulse buy. And yeah, so and that's before, they had any kind of crocodilians weren't illegal in Illinois at that point. And yeah, my dad was furious, especially when
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, when I had one of the two bathtubs in the house taken up by a, predator like that, he was not happy. My grandma
So
wouldn't even
they
come in the
had.
house. It was kind of hilarious actually. But yeah, I've had
Uh,
all sorts of stuff. But yeah, getting back to this though, I had to have permits for that, and I had to. Uh, the process took a while um, to get that done. So I had yellow muds, spotted turtles, blanding turtles. I had like a whole bunch that were on that because my intent was I was going to
so
I
now
should
these
have did
guys.
my due diligence and did a little bit more research into it to find out that that's not something that you can do. Which I see their point about the pathogens, but I also feel like we're not we're not doing enough to kind of bring them back, I guess, because it's not
That's
like they're
true.
extinct.
True.
It just happens to be in,
Yeah.
say, for an instance, in Illinois, there may be 100 or so out in the wild. They're not prolific here at all. Like these,
Yeah.
and we could do a lot more about. I think personally, I feel about like re-releasing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
For sure.
you know,
Sure.
um,
I have.
but
Hold on. I have to
yeah,
address. I have to address a comment here real quick. So we're gonna do a tangent here real quick. I think maybe. So Elaine, you want to eat the insects, or you're selling the insects for food for animals? Because if you're breeding the insects for food, we
no,
need
no,
to
no,
talk on
no.
this
I think
show.
it's no. I think the comment was is that they were keeping the insects for food for the other animals.
Okay. For food for the turtles, I'm guessing, because that
Yeah,
they eat all that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. It sounded like yeah.
Hold on though. Maybe she's talking about eating the insects and farming insects for food. If that's the case, Justin and I are going to want to talk to this Elaine Smith. If not, still cool. You're still cool, Elaine. It'd just be cooler if you did. Also, hi Major. How you doing, bud? Um. Okay, I want to get into your setup because I was always in love with this setup as well. Where is it? I'm way over here. Okay, we're way past it. This little baby. This is one of the white lips you said, right? Or is this a red cheek?
Yeah, that was the first hatchling that I ever
Ah,
had. That I was so like my first outing with it, the first season I had an issue with trying to keep the humidity in the right levels. So I didn't have a high hatch rate, but this is one of the ones that actually came from that. And yeah, it's a white lip mud. That's a northern, I believe. I had both types. There's very little differences in each.
I know that gets hard where it's like keeping them separate, so you keep the lines pure and all that. It's like,
Yeah,
oh my
definitely.
god,
Yeah,
did
yeah,
I
yeah.
mix
You
them?
definitely
Do
want
I
to
have
do
to
that.
start over? Sell these as just regular old pets. So now the white lips. Before we go to the next slide, the white lips. Your intention was to breed them to release them to the wild. Now you can't just sell them, right? You can't just sell them as
You're
pets.
talking
You
about
have
the
to have
yellow muds.
permits.
You're talking about the
Yeah, the
yellow mud
yellow mutts.
turtles.
How about the yellow mutts? Yeah.
Yeah. Not no. So in other states you can, but because they're a native species for us and they're endangered, you can't. Endangered
It
or
is
threatened,
so
either one
weird.
of have a hard time with.
It
One of
is
the
so
big ones
weird. You
back.
can buy potentially invasive species, and that's fine to have in your house. But like natives that, God forbid, they do escape. Say you have a tornado that comes through and transplants your turtles
Well,
somewhere
yeah,
else, they could
right,
live.
yeah.
That's I kind of get it. I kind of don't. Like I'm with you. I'm on the fence. Like I don't think the pathogens would
Well,
be
so
that big
so
a
for
deal, but
us
I don't know.
we have northern wood turtles, which actually, especially up here north, is one of the DNR's biggest bust type turtles. So
The
uh,
northern
there
box
seems like
turtle
there's a lot of people that want that.
or
That
the wood turtle. You said.
yeah, wood turtles. It's I guess the easiest way to explain it, and like I guess turtle people would butcher me for this, but it's kind of like an in between a box turtle and an aquatic turtle because they are aquatic, but
Okay.
they're terrestrial too. Um, Rhino Clemmings is the like the broad uh, Latin category that they're in.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but there's a lot of different varieties from a lot of different places, and they need a lot of different needs or whatever. But my point before though is like the northern wood turtles, spotted turtles, blandings, bog turtles. Uh, I know I'm missing one. Yellow muds. Those are all either threatened or endangered, where we're not allowed to purchase or own in
So
Illinois.
weird. So weird. So now, if I want to get a spotted turtle,
Other states have ones too. There's a musk turtle called depressus that is down south, so
yeah,
Mississippi, Georgia, those areas, they're not allowed to have those because those are endangered there. But yet, theoretically, we could probably have one here, even though I think their range kind of kicks right up in the southern part of Illinois, so that would probably stop that too.
wild, wild. Just weird rules. I kind of get it. I kind of don't. It's frustrating. I haven't really looked into it because I just go, oh, I can't do it. Then I won't worry about doing it. Because
You know
I
what?
love.
It's definitely needed for protecting what's left, but I just feel like
Yes.
that we could use more
Yes.
on reintroducing to boost those numbers back up again.
100%. All right, let's get into this setup. So these are pictures of the DIY setup that Doug had. So Doug is like a, I don't want to say engineer. Is it engineer? Is that what you did?
Well, I was in yeah maintenance type fields. Hang on one second. I gotta kill a dog with a bone. One sec.
Okay. He was in a very DIY, hands-on stuff. So Green Cheddar Monkey, we'll do some discussion here real quick. Green Cheddar Monkey, they're just with the prickly pear fruit, not only for turtle food, but to learn how to make prickly pear fruit jelly and candy. I've heard great things about that stuff. So are you growing them yourselves, Elaine, or just obsessed with them? Which I totally makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Sorry about that. We would have been hearing that bone hit the wood floor on and off the whole time.
I'm surprised I haven't gotten attacked yet. So my co-host, Doodle.
Huh.
Doodle the demon. All right. So, this is the setup that's going to be. Right.
Yeah, that background's just kind of there because I wanted something to sit there until I make the one I'm going to do. But it's an 80 gallon. The footprint's 4 by 18. Um,
4 by 18 by 18, you said, right?
21 actually. The height's like 21, I
Oh,
think.
nice.
Comes out to about 80 gallons.
So then what's going in here?
That one I'm going to be doing a community of some of the smaller mud turtles. Like I'm going to do Tabasco muds, three stripe, Mississippi mud, and creaserai, which they're all kind of about the same size. They only get about 4 inches or so, and it's
Okay.
going to be more of a enjoyment tank for myself. It's not a breeding project. They'll all be females, so there won't be any crossbreeding, anything like that.
Very cool. Very cool. Maybe I gotta look into mud turtles. Tell you, get these little guys.
A lot of variety. They're
This is the real
very,
shit.
yeah, very underappreciated, I think.
So this is the real shit for me. So this kicked me off into building stuff. And I only saw this once. I saw this set up one time. And it wasn't even up. It wasn't even running. When I saw it, it was like mocked up. So you built these metal racks.
Yeah, the metal racks are things you can get at like Home Depot or whatever. They handle 2,000 pounds per shelf,
Okay. So which is good
which is
because you've
way
got these.
exceeded what I needed for what I was doing.
Now, if I remember right, I could lay down in one of these bins.
They're 6 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot.
6 foot, almost. My foot would hang out. So, yeah, guys, I think Doug and I both are like 6'4". So this would be a nice
6'5".
bath. Oh, fine. All right, fine.
Yeah,
You're shrinking. You're
yeah. So
52. You're shrinking now.
they had about 8 inches of water in them, and these particular ones they had the nesting boxes in the middle, and then there was a drain, and basically the drain went from uh, all circulated through the same water, which if you have captive adults that you've owned for a while, this is a safe way to do it. If you're getting new species and whatnot, and then you're starting to put these in, then you're starting to mix the water. That's not a good idea. So I had a separate rack for that kind of thing. But yeah, basically what it would do is the water would come in through the top tub, and then it would drain back down through the next, and then the next. And then I know you got another picture that's actually got the filter part of it.
Yeah. Here's the double
So
rack.
so those two are linked together. So those are the two. So 6 different tubs that I had that were of the species that I was breeding that I had kept for a while.
This is
So they were
crazy.
not newly introduced or whatnot. And then those were all on the same sump system. So
I don't know how to calculate how much water this is, but that's a
so
lot
they
of
were
water.
60 gallons, and I think I had them filled up to 40-gallon capacity. So that's 80, 120, 240, 240 gallons worth of water. Not counting the sump. The sump was probably another 30.
And then your water changes had to be. Did it just drain into like your drain, your house drain?
You know, oddly enough, I dealt with that system once a month, cleaning.
That's
Cleaning wise, I
awesome.
did it once a month.
That's
And
awesome.
if I wanted to do it once a week, I would have spent maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour at the most. At the
Because
most,
it was all set up for ease.
yeah, I purposely made it so it was going to be easy to do. I worked a lot of hours, so the hours that I did have at home, I wanted to make sure that I could spend enjoying them and doing other parts of the project, not necessarily having to clean it. So I
Yeah.
went through a lot to make sure that it would it'd be as easy as possible. If you want to go to like where the sump
Yep.
picture's at,
I think that's next. There we
yeah,
go.
that one there. Okay, so basically what that is everything's going into that one tower, and that's getting all the big pieces of it coming through, and then you've got I use pot scrubbers actually for like the bio balls, so
Yeah.
you would get
Okay.
that oxygenation that would come through the water. The heater was in the water in this particular water tub, so it heated all 6 of those tubs. So I only had one heater to do that,
Would you have a friggin'
and then that
furnace in there? You got like a house water heater? What the hell?
it was 500 watt. I mean, the thing was like 2 foot long. It was crazy. It was the
That's
biggest one I could find.
insane.
And it did, yeah, it did a job because that water in there was like bath water. So by the time
That
it
is
came back through,
insane.
so the cylinder that's above that is a UV sterilizer. So
Sure.
that is how I was handling the algae issue and any kind of other pathogens or anything else that would be in the water. They would have got just eradicated by the time that it went back through the system again.
Just crazy. So yeah, there's a lot of thought went into this. This is how I should think about things and design things, and I don't. You saw the ant tank. You saw the waterfall that I had built for the ant
Mhm.
tank, right? So it weighs
Yeah.
about 20 pounds, maybe. It's about 20 pounds of concrete, that waterfall. And it's built so foolishly that I have to take it out kind of often now and clean it. Like, luckily now I took it apart and redid it, but just the design of it is not built for maintenance at all for the pump. So I learned to take it out, pull it apart, put it back together. That while it's in there, I can't see what I'm doing because
Yeah.
it's real snug, so I can't really see what I'm doing. I'm doing it all by feel, and it sucks. It sucks. So I had to do it 4 times in 2 days because the pump, actually the impeller, doesn't stick anymore. So I basically made it one piece with Gorilla Glue. So the impeller and the little magnetron thing, they're one piece now. If it goes, it goes. That's on me, but it's been working like better than it ever has. But that kind of planning, like this kind of planning, next time I plan something like this, we're going to have a conversation first because I did a lot of
Right.
trial and error.
I've had conversations with some people like out in California, and there's 2 guys from Florida that asked me about this type of stuff because I think I was at one of the shows down there, and I
Yeah.
was talking about it, and they showed some pictures off and stuff. Basically, what all this is really doing is it's taking the uh, the fish hobby and how you have trickle filter setups with like
Yep.
overflow boxes and stuff, and just applying that to this turtle breeding process that I was doing. That was a drawer set that tower is, and all I had to do was pull that top drawer and take the filter floss out of it and replace it. And I did that maybe once a week, and that's all I had to do with it.
So now
And then once a
these,
month, I would have like a serious, cleaning.
okay, so this here is this is how they don't get out because I'm like, there's no lid on this thing, but the only land they can get to is in the middle.
Correct.
And so
Yeah.
this has dirt. This is basically a potter that has dirt in it, right? For them to lay in.
Sand. Yeah, it's so,
Okay.
I found that if I use the same sand that I was using as a substrate when they pulled it into the tank, I wasn't
Yeah.
having any cross contamination. So if I was going low on
Okay.
sand or whatever, I'd take some off the bottom and I'd let it dry out and then I'd put it in there because they'll drag
Smart
it in there.
smartness.
They get it attached to them and they'll drag it back into the water.
You would think. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the same guy that did all this planning, is the same guy that I had to help over the phone get into his parents' furnace. He
You
couldn't
really had
figure
to
it
bring
out
that
one
up.
time.
You
Yeah, I
you
had
really
to.
had to bring that up.
I've been waiting for my moment. So
I
yeah, we were going over there to
yeah
hang out, and
yeah
he's like, I can't get the furnace on, and I said, put your hands on this panel,
yeah I
push
Yeah, I
up.
used to work on automation equipment for, doing this like 750 million pieces of equipment, and I couldn't get into this furnace one night. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's his claim to fame right there.
that's my claim. It took me 4 seconds. I figured it out. And I was like, just gonna tease you because I figured you did that already. I was waiting for you to be like, yeah, I did that, idiot. So it worked out. It worked out really well. My little inside
Yeah,
joke. Um,
yeah, that's
but yeah, all
not
this
one of my
planning.
highlights of my book. Yeah, not
Well,
a
hey,
highlight for me.
what I'm trying to say is you could be that level of genius, this level of genius, and still not know how to do stuff. So if you're working on a project yourself, you folks at home, well, we're all at home technically, um, then don't get discouraged. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to figure it out. You can get to a setup that's this functional. But I can also see uh, one of the drawbacks here is I love all the thought that went into everything. The sand is the same as the substrate that you have because you have to have substrate for them. These bare bottom setups just, I don't know, they make me kind of sick. But it's really hard to see the animals in these setups unless you're in there doing stuff, doing maintenance, moving things around, checking for eggs. It's going to be way more difficult. This is why I was so, on one hand, like pissed that you went to this and got rid of the other tank. because they were visible. They were so visible, and everything was beautiful in that tank. And uh, uh, like it was a weird trade off. Like this is good. I see the point of this. I see the functionality and for what you were trying to do, and they're obviously super well taken care of. No issues there. But it's like, how hard was it to get in and do like a check on the animals?
It wasn't as difficult as you would think. So I had enough
Okay.
in there. So you want to have enrichment, right? Even in a breeding process or whatnot. If you're truly caring about the animals that you have, you want to have the enrichment process. So you want to have plants in there. You want to have one of the things that mud turtles like to do is they like to get that sand on their back and they'll actually scratch their shell with it on things.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
uh, Turtles have they can actually feel on that shell.
Sure.
So for people that think that they can just like whip rocks at it and stuff and make these chips in it and they're not feeling anything, they're wrong. That they have nerve and that is part of their body. Um,
It'd be
so you want to
basically like
have all
getting hit
those
in the
things.
skull, right? It'd kind of be like getting hit in the skull.
Um,
You feel it. You've got it's
yeah,
basically a skull.
it's yeah. I wouldn't know how to describe how they would probably feel it, but it is a known fact that they do feel it.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
So, but getting back to this though, it wasn't that difficult to check on the animals.
Okay.
So I did a check on the animals probably once every day, unless I was doing a lot of work, and then I maybe every other day. And I'd take each one of them out and I kind of look them over and all that. And so they got very used to getting handled, but at the same time, I didn't get in there enough to disrupt them. So each one of these tubs have one male and five females per group. You never want to put two males in, just like just about every other kind of species animal you can think of.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was really dealing with about five or six animals in each one that I would be able to take a look at. The operation that I had, if you want to call it that, uh, I had a small enough number of animals that I could take care of it personally. Now I do know a lot of guys that have businesses out of it that they need employees and stuff to be able to go through all the ones that they have.
Sure. Sure. What are you doing over there? I got a cat chewing on somebody's food bag, and yeah, not you. This is not the demon. Sorry. Yeah, I know quite a few people that we've had on have like a staff basically because you just can't. It gets to a point one person can't do it. Like, 'cause you were working at the same time. This wasn't like your main income. You
No,
had a full time
no,
job.
this, so oddly enough, that everything that I made selling the hatchling turtles went right back into it, where I was getting more and more uh, the rarer species, which
We know.
costs a lot more money in the trade.
Yeah.
Um, and so that yeah, I got into ornate diamond bacteripans real big there for a while. Those are really expensive, uh, relatively speaking to water turtles. Sam will have some things that he knows about that are way more expensive than that. Um,
Sure. I mean,
but
there's crazy
yeah, so
stuff.
it all kind of went back into business, and then occasionally, like say for instance, my son, he had a wonderful time. We'd get him a pickup, and then he'd wreck it in a little bit of time, and he needed a car right away. So everybody knew the kind of species that I kept or whatnot. So all I would have to do is reach out and say, "Hey, I'm going to downsize this a little bit because I need to get money for a truck or whatever," and I'd have it in a couple days. So I'd be able to go get him something like that.
That's cool.
But
That's
yeah, it wasn't my main source of income by any means. I was working 60 to 70 hours a week at that point,
okay.
and then doing this.
That's wild. That's wild. Yeah, I don't know that I could work 60, 70 hours a week now just with doing nothing.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this kept my sanity throughout all that work and everything. This is what kept my sanity because I would come home and I would detox dealing with the animals and yeah,
I would
like I
I
was
would
saying,
come home and stare at the ants and be like, at least I don't work as hard as you bitches. Like, with your 20-minute naps for a day, and then you're out back at it again. So that would be my sanity right there. That's good.
But
That's
yeah,
good to
yeah,
have that.
it's
The water, all of it, just the sound of the water, seeing the ripples. It's all very meditative. So
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
just
Well,
another
and
benefit.
that's why I'm working on this tank beside my recliner is one to kind of get back into it. I know you had mentioned that I had gotten out of it for a while. That was over health issues, and I was not going to be able to take care of the animals properly.
Sure. Yeah.
So they went, yeah. So they went to individuals that are some are in the area. Some I shipped off to like California, where it was people that I knew that were going to take care of them, and
Yeah.
actually, one of the or two of the types that I'm going to put in here are going to be hatchlings of the adults that I used to have. So they're actually be kind of from that same
Which is super
lineage.
cool. Which is super cool.
Yeah.
Where are we at? So okay, let's get into just me and you again. There we go. Let's make it cozy. Bam. There we go. Look at those faces. So, how many handsome people are into turtles? Let me tell you, all of them. All of them. So, we're going to talk specifically about mud turtles now. So I know there's probably variations. There's species that are different. I know there's outliers, but this is going to be some general information for people that just want to keep some mud turtles now that they're interested and see how they can keep 6 giant tubs worth of turtles in their laundry room. And how easy that would be. I'm going to tell you that whole setup probably cost as much as a 200-gallon saltwater setup, because it's pretty much the same equipment. It's pretty much all the same equipment except for your giant tank, which those plastic tubs probably altogether cost as much as a giant tank. Then you got a bunch of PVC and a bunch of elbow grease.
I think at the time they were about $60 a piece.
Okay, so less than a 200-gallon tank for a saltwater.
Those are actually sheep waterers that you would get from Farm and Fleet. I happened to walk in there one day and I'd seen them, and that's when the whole envision of the room came about.
So the drain holes are already there. Drain holes are basically already there in it. You just have to like attach your PVC to it. Crazy. And then hang your, you have plenty of space. That thing's beautiful. I'm looking at it like I'm showing it to you guys right now. You saw it. It's fine. Take a screenshot. So I pick up a single musk turtle. Let's say what's one that I can get legally? The Tabasco?
There's a lot.
Let's just give one.
Let's go with the 3-stripe mud turtle. That's probably your
3-stripe mud turtle. Fairly common.
A stink pot. So there's another one called a stink pot that is actually a musk turtle. That's probably your easiest to get. But if you're speaking mud turtles, and like a 3-stripe would probably
not a fan of a pet that implies that it smells bad. I'm just gonna put the brakes on that one. Every
single mud or musk turtle can musk. So there is that possibility for them. It's a defense mechanism.
So if you startle them or handle them wrong,
out of all those that I kept, I had one species do that to me, and they were also like a Houdini species, because I, for the life of me, couldn't keep them in those tubs. They would just climb out. They're rough-footed mud turtles. They're from or they call them Sonora mud turtles, and they would get out. Me and my wife were looking in the laundry room almost every other day, trying to figure out where one of them was at.
That's where you stay up till 3 a.m. trying
probably
to
one of my that's probably one of my species that I really disliked keeping the most.
That's a lot of maintenance. So let's say 3-stripe. If we're keeping a 3-stripe mud turtle, I get one. Okay. What do I need for my new pet? This is a pet. That's all it's going to be. I want to take care of it. I want to set it up.
So if you want to set it up for its entire lifespan,
for a single one-stop shop.
Yeah, for a single one, a 20-gallon long might be okay. I would probably go with a 30 long instead. If you have a group, usually a 40 breeder would be what you'd want to do. But you do that. Now, for me personally, I like the sump systems I think it keeps the water the cleanest.
Okay.
And make no mistake, water turtles are dirty. They eat in the water. They poop in the water. Everything's all done in the water. So to
Yeah.
keep that clean it's almost a must.
Okay.
Um,
Well, yeah, it
so
is a must,
so
right? Because
like
it's just gonna build all that
right, yeah.
bacteria trash
So
and
here's the difference. So when you have like a system like a sump, you don't have to do as many water changes. You don't have to do as many um, uh, like your maintenance isn't as much. If you've
okay,
got an in-tank filter, say for instance, like a waterfall style, or
sure.
um, uh, any of the ones where like all the water volume is all in the tank at one time and there's nothing outside of it,
Yeah, that
then
does sound good.
yeah, that's where you're making your water changes like every other day. Depending on the turtle, sometimes every day would be the best.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Um,
Like that, you don't want to contain all the crap in the thing you're trying to get the crap out of, right?
so you need that. I would not go with the bare bottom. Yeah, Connor just got home, so the dogs
Yeah,
are
get the
going
hell
crazy.
out of here, Connor. Crying out loud. Punk ass
um,
Connor.
so yeah, now you got me talking about him. So you want some kind of substrate. You do not want to use any kind of a gravel because as they're
Sure,
eating, a lot of times they'll eat on the bottom and they'll pick that gravel up and then that'll get into their stomach and they get like compacted. So just like a
sure.
lot of lizards can do with sand. Sand is actually the best thing you can do for them if you're going to have some kind of a substrate. Uh, uh,
Yeah, you said they
the
use it,
black
like they
and
use
white
it to kind of
aquarium sand
scratch
that they have now that
themselves and
don't have any rocks in them or anything are like
yeah.
perfect.
Okay.
Um, you'll get a treat too when you see your turtle swimming by and it decides it's going to poop and all this like sand comes out of it along with it. It's just
We
it's
have different
it's
ideas
something
of
to
what
see.
treats are, but yeah, I imagine.
Yeah. So you want that.
That's how sand gets
Um,
made on the beach. They eat the no, that's parrotfish. Never mind. Different.
yeah. You definitely want to have you definitely want to have substrate. Um, the the most important thing is you try to look at the turtle's natural environment and try to duplicate that as best as possible
So again, do your
because that's
homework
going to
like
give them
number
the
one.
most. Your animal is going to be more healthy if it's not stressed out, if it's well fed, and it's got a clean environment. If you can do all those things, almost every animal you can think of, you can take care of.
Oh, here we go. Sam says he agrees sand is in all turtle and tortoise substrate in the wild. Beautiful. Beautiful. Sand, dirt. I think I'd go bioactive for a tortoise. So on a small tortoise or a land turtle. I don't understand how box turtles are tortoises, but I'm not that smart. So I don't know how they're not labeled as tortoises. Maybe they are now. I don't know. I don't understand that differentiation. I did have an argument. I wanted to pause because I did have an argument about what you were talking about, setting them up, how they would be in the wild. This was I just got on Blue Sky. And so I started
Mhm.
joining all these, feeds. So I got into like bioactive, a feed on bioactivity in there. Um, and somebody was making a point that and it's all like little snippets. So it's really hard to have a real conversation. But um, his point was that he set up all his animals bioactive the exact same and it's all set up basically the same and the animals are the only thing different in there. And I was like, why would you do that? He's like, because they're fine. They're born and raised this way. I said, but they're not evolved that way. Like they're evolved for these parameters. It's not about where they were born. Like they were evolved. If you were born in the jungle, like you're gonna do fine in a house. Like I don't know. Like if you're a person, if you're not born in your environment, that's not what you're evolved to. Like I don't know. That's why humans have so many health problems now. Is we're not evolved for this, for podcasting and nitrous fueled Pepsi cans. So this is amazing. By the way, Pepsi, if you're listening, I will take any money you want to send me to pimp this because. So it's got the nitro pellet in it, like a Guinness. So the bubbles are like cream. It's not like carbonation. It is carbonation, but it's like that Guinness, smooth, delicious. Okay, so anyway, that was my product placement. But yeah, his argument, and it was weird how many people came back at me about it, because he was the original poster, I guess, but it was weird to me how many people came back at me about it. And I'm like, this is completely logical, makes 100% sense. You don't even have to be a keeper to understand this. You just have to have like common sense and logic. Like what you're evolved to and what you'll tolerate are two different things. And I wasn't saying the guy was keeping them badly or poorly, but his point was that it applies to everything that he keeps, and it just isn't. Do you know what I'm saying? Like everything, every organism has its own niche. We're not going to hit it exact. As keepers, we're not going to hit it exact. We want to get as close as we can. So if you're watching this, we promote that here at IsoBuddies.
The main thing is that the majority of those behaviors are instinctful. So say for instance, and it's pretty much with most animals, if you are going to release them in the wild, the problem isn't that they're not going to understand how to survive on their own. It's the fact that they have no fear of man. So like a lot of the more intelligent animals, that's their biggest problem. Now, as far as reptiles and stuff go, all that's instinctive. So if they're eating pellets for, I don't know, say for how long, and then you release them into, say, a creek type environment, they're not going to starve. They're going to see crayfish. They're going to see minnows. They're going to see all these other invertebrates or whatever, and they will eat, because as soon as they get hungry, they will eat something.
Yeah.
Like most animals will. So there's no reason not.
You just reminded me of going to shows back in the Wild West when we were young. We were young men, and you could get whatever you wanted. I want a lion cub. You're gonna have to hit Our Living Things at the mall and give them a $40 down payment. You'll be able to get a lion cub. I don't know if it was that serious, but they had a capuchin in there that the poor thing was abused to death. I've talked about Ajax before. Like Ajax was his name. I tormented that monkey because it was a monkey. It was there. Like I was a kid. I was ignorant and stupid and should have got smacked by an adult real hard. But we messed with that monkey, and it sucks. And his whole life was that little cage. I don't know where I was going with this. So hatchlings. I bought the little quarter-size hatchling, red-eared sliders. Got 3 of them. Had them in a 20 long to grow out. Put in about 3 dozen guppies, feeder guppies, and some ghost shrimp. And if you've had hatchling turtles, you've probably seen this. If you've never seen them, if you're watching this and you've never seen them chase a food item as a baby, it is the funniest thing I think I've ever seen. The funniest feeding style, because they just chase it. All they do is chase it. Please swim in my mouth. It's the funniest, and the fish are looking at them like, Are you serious? Because they're way faster. But it was amazing. The only ones they got were the ones that like died and fell to the bottom. That was the only ones they got, which was enough. But it was so funny to watch them, like because you're talking about their instincts, watching that feeding instinct kick in. They were getting pellets and bugs at the surface, little baby crickets at the surface to let them tear into. So they had plenty to eat, but they still would try to snack on these guppies, and I don't think they ever got one. That I never saw them get one or even come close. So I'm going to assume they never did. But the funniest thing of all time. But yeah, their instincts will take over. But hopefully that only applies to hurricane victims, that their house got leveled and their animals got loose.
Well, that's a prime example of so when Katrina hit, all these different reptile breeding facilities got just completely wiped out. Those animals didn't die. Majority of them ended up in in the Everglades, and that's why they're having the large reticulated python problem right now, is because they went out there and they don't have the only even remotely natural predator they have once they've gotten to a certain size is an alligator. And now the alligators are actually kind of like the second tier of the food chain now because of that. It's an epidemic down there, and it's on the one hand it's kind of sad because it wasn't the keeper's faults for having, they didn't keep it in poorly or anything like that. It was a hurricane. Nobody could have foreseen that their facility was going to get wiped out or whatever.
Yeah.
But because of that, and because of a reticulated python could have like 150 eggs at a time, and they can do it probably 3 times a season, maybe more, because Florida's uh, their environment is more to like what they would naturally have. So they're doing like 150, and they don't have any real natural predators.
Right.
Raccoons and stuff will get them when they're young, but that's about it. When they get to about a certain size, next thing you know, raccoons are on the menu, and so are possums
Right.
and
And when they're
just about
young,
everything else.
even baby alligators are on the menu for them.
Yeah,
So it's like they,
yeah,
at every life stage, they have a way to devastate that ecosystem, that food chain.
yeah. There's about
That's
seventy
just one
percent.
instance.
Yeah, about 70% of the species that are in Florida currently are invasive,
At what
at
point
least
do
at
you
one
wall
point
it
in time.
off? Just wall it off. Leave your
Yeah,
pets here. Like, just let them out. It's, it's just crazy. They have I don't know how many like colonies of monkeys just running around Florida. Um,
yeah. I don't know that number.
Parrots. They've got flocks of parrots, cockatiels.
Mhm.
It's insane. It's insane. Like Florida is the mixing pot
Yeah, I
of
mean,
all
so the big
creatures.
thing is like here in Illinois, it'll die. Whatever, anything that's tropical is going to die if it
Yeah.
gets out, because by the
Yeah.
time winter hits, it doesn't know what to do with itself.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but down there, it doesn't get cold enough that that's going to happen.
Were you around when they
So,
had that alligator get loose in New Lenox
mhm.
at the one lake? That was fun. I worked in New Lenox at the time, and that was a lot of fun to see the scramble, the mad scramble.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that was probably a result from them selling those caimans and alligators at the pet stores back then, because
I wasn't
that
that
time
big.
frame would have been about the
Yeah.
same.
Oh no, we talked about it. You can go to NARBC today. If they had it today, you could go today and get a hatchling Nile crocodile. So I don't know if it's still at NARBC, but that was where I first heard that it happened. So I don't know if they cracked down on that or not. I would hope so.
No, yeah,
But you
well,
can
yeah,
buy, yeah, you can
yeah.
buy a baby Nile crocodile right now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
They've got breeding facilities that are huge in Florida for that. And yeah, they sell them a lot. Actually, Brian Barczyk, he passed away not too recent.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, he had alligators in his terrarium, and then I think they're going to do this in that legacy aquarium thing that they've got that they're building. But he was able to get them, and that was a permit type thing in Michigan, but you can get them. Now, here in Illinois, to get a permit for an alligator is next to impossible.
But I can go to a show
Yeah.
and they can hand me a Nile crocodile baby. They have alligators. They have baby alligators at the shows. So I don't know if it's like gun
Mhm.
permit laws. I've seen them at every show recently, except for the
Yeah,
one in
no, yeah,
Philly.
they do. I mean, the
They're
DNR
not there
isn't
for
running
display.
through. Yeah, especially for like the Tinley show, they're not running through that
Yeah.
to try to catch individuals and stuff. Because you see. So, if for those that are listening are not aware, anywhere in the United States, it is illegal to sell any kind of turtle that's under 4 inches in length, unless it is for educational purposes. It's got that loophole thing to it. But at these shows, they have them like that, and they don't crack down on it. Actually, we were just at a show in Joliet
We
that
were.
we saw some. Yeah,
They had them and made me mad. I took pictures actually of that. I only took pictures of the things that made me mad there, which you got to see in person. Like I
oh,
get pretty fired up.
something else for you guys listening. If you have veal chameleons, you do not put 20 of them in a small container, a mesh container.
Yeah.
And they're all, yeah. We saw
It
somebody
was
that
like,
had one that they had 20 different juvenile veal chameleons in this same like net like a net
it was like
enclosure.
the screen. It was like 4 foot by, I don't know, 18 by 18, 4 foot tall by
Yes,
18 by
yeah, something like
18.
that.
But they were crawling
And
on
they
each
were
other.
all jet black. There's anytime they're jet black like that, that they are stressed out, and that is not a good situation.
Yeah, there was only two colors. There was like white and jet black, and I've never seen either of them.
Yeah,
I've never
it's
seen any
awesome.
of them those colors before. that stressed. So one little string of plastic plant hanging from the top. So we're down to one
that none of them
finger.
could get at because all of them were clambering over each other trying to get at it.
That's true. That's true. So back to my musk turtle. So
Okay.
what am I
So yeah,
doing? So I
again,
have
you
my
need the
40,
substrate.
got my 40
Yeah, you need
breather,
the
got my
substrate.
sand.
Mud
Yeah.
turtles and musk turtles are not good swimmers, so you do not need deep water.
Okay.
Anything that's about if you can go twice their shell length, that's pretty good. So say for instance, for most mud and musk turtles, they're anywhere from like the 5 inch mark to maybe 7. Now there are a couple species that are beyond that, but typically that's what you're looking at. So you're going to look at about maybe 12
Pretty
inches of
small.
water and that's it. But
Pretty
now
small.
in with hatchlings though, you have to do it relative. So if you have a hatchling, 12 inches of water is almost a death sentence for one of those things because if they start to get, say, they get caught and they're kind of short on their air supply, um, turtles, especially if they're chasing after something, they can be dumb and not realize that they're starting to run out of oxygen and then they got to shoot up real quick. A little mud turtle like that will not be able to do that because they're just not good swimmers. So, say for instance, like a hatchling, you only need like maybe 3 inches of water and they are fine. And then you just
Rough enough
gradually
for
build that
both,
up
right?
as they get bigger. But you're
Yeah.
never going to go past like 12 inches of water. It's just not needed. And if you do have 12 inches of water, you want to have different levels, like shelf levels, so they can get to a more shallow part of it.
Yeah.
Um, you want some land for them to be able to get up on, or some kind of driftwood or something like that that gets them out of the water so they can completely dry out.
Now you had that. What did you call it? I forget the box that sat on top of the tank. That had the ramp they could get out into that box.
Yeah, yeah. So one of my earlier things that I did was I took that 180 gallon and I put a you can get them. They're called turtle toppers, but I made one, and basically what it was a ramp that had astroturf on it, and the turtles were able to, and it was mostly for like diamondback terrapins. They could crawl out, and then there was a basking area up on the top of there. Um, all turtles are going to warm themselves up, especially if the water happens to get cold. Say, for instance, it gets colder in your house, and it also depends on the species, like where they're from. Three-stripe mud turtles are actually from here, so they can handle the colder temperatures where like a
Okay.
Tabasco mud cannot, uh, because they're from Mexico. Um, so you,
Now can you keep it?
having a warm spot is a good idea,
Yeah.
but you definitely want to heat the water, um, especially in the winter months, or if you
Yeah.
have them in a basement or something like that, you want to heat it. Uh, and then the rest of it's kind of enrichment. So that's plants. Um, they actually enjoy having other fish and whatnot in there with them. There will be a point where they will cease to see them as food, and then they
Yeah.
will just
Yeah.
be there in the tank with them. Never goldfish. Do not. If you learn anything today, do not put a goldfish in with any kind of animal. They have thiamine in them, and it is deadly if they continue to eat, and eat it. But like guppies, platies, mollies, any of that stuff. I mean, they're fine with any of that stuff. Catfish kind of watch because they have the spines. Um,
I
but
like
yeah,
those tank baits. They
plants,
read.
yeah, plants, rocks, just not jagged ones, driftwood, spiderwood, any of that kind of stuff. It's and maybe Java moss is an excellent thing for them because it's easy to grow. It attaches to things, so you don't have to have uh, the plant soil that has the nutrients in and stuff. It'll just attach, and it'll get the nutrients right out of the water itself. So,
What's a cohelin?
oh
What is
geez,
a
Reed
cow?
just showed up.
He did. What's a cohelin? What is? How am I? I don't know how I'm saying that. Help me out here. Sam's comment is on the screen. We were talking
Suicide
about keeping
chameleons.
babies. No. The Sam's comment is on the screen, like with us right now, like on the main screen. My cohelin. I don't have my glasses on. Where are my glasses? We were talking about
Oh,
hatchlings.
that's help me out, Sam. What's that's It's a type of box turtle, but that's a high end one too, if I'm remembering correctly.
Sam's got the stuff. I was doing my homework
Yeah.
on Sam because I started doing deep dives after I had this one major pothead on the show. I started doing deep dives into my guests before I had him on. Sam's the shit. Sam's got it together. Or he's one of the guys.
Oh no, there's some of those box turtles and stuff like that that would pay several of my mortgage payments.
That's weird because it's in every
But,
hobby has that big
yeah.
name thing.
Yeah, no, there is. It would not surprise me one bit for
one of the rarest in the world.
That's it. Yep, that's it.
Sam's got some stuff. He's still got that that Egyptian tortoise I want to talk about. Posting lots of pictures. It's my jam right there. Someday.
Yeah.
Someday. Those guys are cool.
Sam, actually,
Fully
one of my all-time favorites that I would like to get, and it only really became available like maybe within the last like 8 years, is Rhinoclemys rubida. Those they're called like a Mexican painted box wood turtle. They are beautiful. The shells are beautiful. The skin's beautiful.
See if we can find it.
They're extremely hard to keep though, because they have different requirements per season. So like you actually have to create the seasons within the environment for them to really thrive.
Oh, these are not that. What is it called? Mexican what?
It'll go by like Mexican. It is a wood turtle.
All right, I'm going to try to find a picture of it so we can put it up. Keep talking. Keep going. Here we go. That is a pretty turtle. Holy cow. Let's see if I can share that.
Yeah, it'll say like Rhinoclemys rubida or Guerrero or Pixella. Yeah, I'm saying that one wrong. Pixella is another one. There's like 3 different varieties of them. And they're, like one individual is like, so that one.
This guy here, is that not it?
Turtle. So that's a Rhinoclemys manii. So those are the most popular ones that we have here.
These guys are gorgeous. So I want Mexican.
Yeah, those are really easy to get here. I don't know about other places, but they're really easy to get here.
Well, then that's what I want. Damn it, Doug. You're killing me here. I just love some of the things they have on their scoots, like the cool patterning.
How you doing?
Oh, now Wally shows up.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a busy guy.
That's the one.
Which one?
Yeah, Sam just put it there.
Okay. Cuero wood turtle? That must mean handsome.
Yeah, that's one of the 3.
Did anybody get that joke? Nobody? No?
No. Anybody? No. Bueller.
Bunch of damn hillbillies, I tell you. Okay, let's see. Here we go. This guy here.
Yeah, that's one of them.
There we go. That's a pretty turtle.
Yeah.
Wally did show up. Wally Klaus. Nice. Yeah, Wally, I'm going for movie quotes this week that nobody gets, so it's doing pretty well for me. Come on, guys. Magnificent Seven? Come on. It's Chris Pratt. It's only my favorite actor of all time. Come on.
Oh, that video that I sent you, I sent it to you again on your messenger.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, I did it while you were yapping about something else.
That's easy to do. That is easy to do. Let's see. Let's not.
So the video that I sent him is the husbandry that you should have as a hobbyist. This was not when I was a breeder. This was like the tail end when I decided I wanted to get back as being a hobbyist and not just be producing things. So this is a 200-gallon tank that is 7 foot by 2 foot. And this is all Tabasco muds that are in here, along with some
tons of fish
and stuff. Yeah.
Look at those rainbows. Nice. Got some barbs, millie, gouramis, all the live plants. So no, they didn't wreck the live plants. It wasn't a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you can make it so you can get some that they don't.
Yeah.
You know,
there
like
they are.
some of the floating plants, you can pretty much get away with the.
I didn't notice they were right here. You went by it twice and I didn't see them.
I'll hover over it if I remember right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, it's got sound. All right.
So that's that was the nesting box that I put in there because they were part of a group that I had as a breeding project that I.
Yeah.
It's again, the Tabasco buds is kind of like my ones that I truly really liked a lot. So those are the ones that I kept, and then I decided I was going to keep them as pets, but they were still technically a breeding group. So I think that was 2.5 years, I think, for that tank at that point. It had a sump system on it, so that the water it's very easy to keep it clear that way.
I mean, that's a good investment. If you're going to put a 7-foot tank in, get the filter, Christ.
And something that big, especially because that was glass, you have to have it on a solid surface, so basement, or if you're going to put it up on a upstairs level, you have to reinforce the floor with like floor joists and stuff like that.
Wet dry?
Yeah, wet dry.
Yeah.
Wet dry or trickle. That particular one, it was kind of like a combination of the two.
There's Moon. I told you Moon was going to be here. He's late, but he's here. Doug was asking, what kind of people show up to your show? I'm like, they're hooligans and rapscallions. No, but I said Moon will be here. I also admitted I still don't know Moon's real name. It's only been like 5 years. I still don't know Moon's real name. He's tuned into every episode, and I think someone called him Mark last week. I think someone was referring to him as Mark, unless there was another Mark in the episode. So I don't know for sure. I've watched his show. He doesn't say his own name a lot, so I've watched his show, or listened to it anyway. Now we can expect more shenanigans. He's actually usually pretty quiet. Yeah, man, your filtration habits are pretty awesome. So I have to say. So my little tanks with their little waterfalls, not great, but the water's still great. Live plants do an amazing thing.
Funny thing is like, so this tank, you see, this one here. Oh no, that's like super bright. So this one here, that's an 80 gallon that I'm trying to set up for that community. One turtle thing that I was talking about doing. I can't drill that because it's tempered glass, which I did not know at the time. Because having a sump, you need to have the glass drilled. Well, I figured out a way how to do it using a siphon system and still be able to do it.
Here's a question.
So we'll see how that. I'll have to come back on and show you some stuff of that once I actually get it up and running.
The only problem I see is if you have an issue where the intake to the filter gets clogged or something interrupts it and messes up that siphon. So, but if you did,
I figured out a way how the siphon will never get broken. It'll last 10 years.
Jesus.
It'll never go.
Yes, Jesus. Yeah. Okay, you guys heard it here first.
Yeah. So real quick, PVC, right? Whatever size, doesn't matter. As long as it's bigger than the plastic tubing that you're going to use. And what you do is, and there's some videos on YouTube about this. I actually thought I came up with this, and then afterwards I was kind of researching to try to get the parts. And they actually sell them on eBay. People are actually making them and putting them on eBay. So basically what you do is you have a C shape to go around the lip of the tank,
Sure.
and then you
Yeah.
have the length of it, and then you don't you extend it to the bottom, the farther to the bottom, and cap them off, and then up a little ways farther, then you've got these T valves, and then what or T sections, and then you put like the strainer or an elbow up that goes into the tank. That's where the level is going to be at, and then the other side of it, on the other side of the tank, is where the drain comes out. And what you do is you take this plastic tubing and you drill two holes in the top of the elbows for the top, and you push them all the way down, and you push them all the way through the PVC until they touch the bottom of the cap that you put on the bottom. And you
Yeah.
have the tube cut at an angle so it can't deadhead against it. And then you fill the whole thing with water. So you start it off by you fill the tube with water, you fill the contraption with water. And then once that's there, the siphon never goes away. So then if your pump shuts off and it no longer feeds in there, the siphon just stops. And then when it starts to feed it again, the gravity of it kicks it back in, and it goes and it starts up again.
Wow. I gotta check these
I had
videos.
theory on it, and then once I watched some videos on it with people that actually had done it, and I didn't realize it, it works. You can see them shut it off. You can see them block it, unblock it, kicks right back in. It's amazing, and it's so
That'll
simple
save
that
you. Yeah.
once you see the design of it, you completely understand why it works.
It's like one of those things you see it and it's like, oh, of course. I should have figured that out 10
Exactly.
years ago. Nobody comes up with anything anymore. That's why my whole gig is just renaming things for people. So they come up with a thing, I come up with a name for it. That's my jam. I should start charging because they're all awesome.
Yeah. No, I was beating my head against the wall because, yeah, like you said, I like using the like overflow systems, and I could not figure out how to do it with this tank. So I was actually going to use a canister filter, which I have not used in years for turtles,
Yeah, they're not
but it'll
great.
work.
Yeah,
No, what the thing is your maintenance way higher, way
right,
higher.
right. And
Um,
gross. Way gross. Speaking of the
right,
siphons,
yeah.
here's a story for when I kept turtles. So I adopted from a rescue situation it was two red ears and a painted slider or painted turtle,
Mhm.
all from Illinois. I believe they were all wild caught to start with, but the guys couldn't keep them. They were in bad shape. We nursed them back to health. They were in a 120-gallon tank, which I was god awful lucky that it never had a problem. It was literally on an old uh, oak dining table. That was their stand. There was no reason this table shouldn't have collapsed. But once they were established, everything was good. They were back to normal. I didn't have the siphon like a one that you hand pumped or whatever. So I just would take the hose and then give it one of these and get the water out 5-gallon buckets. So yeah, the one day I got a mouthful like on the first try. So it was like gross. And I was like, oh, I have salmonella now. I spit it out and then proceeded to like throw up into the tank and then had to clean all of that. I had to clean everything after that. It was the worst. So my wife came home and the turtles like here came in. They were living in the bathtub for a day or so while I figured this whole thing out. Yeah, I called in sick. I'm like, I probably have salmonella. I'm going to be out today at least. I was fine, thank God. But yeah, you know what's in that turtle tank if you haven't cleaned it in a couple days. It's not good.
Yeah, yeah. Since you mentioned it, the salmonella thing, that is the whole reason why you cannot sell hatchling turtles because
Yeah.
in the 50s, I think it was,
Nah,
there was a
bro.
cartoon. There
They
was a
had to carry
cartoon
over.
where, yeah, there was a cartoon where a kid had one of those baby turtles on his tongue, and he kept sticking it out, and the turtle would be like a like this, and then he'd put it back in his mouth. Well, all these kids decided they were going to do that same thing with these baby turtles that they had. Any kind of animal can have salmonella depending on how it's kept,
That's
and
true. That's true.
turtles more often than not is because of this particular situation. That is why they banned it for 4 inches because you can't get a 4-inch turtle in your mouth.
Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted, Dougie.
You know.
I bet I could.
Well,
A kid couldn't.
that's
Probably a kid
okay.
couldn't.
That's a whole different kind of podcast that I don't want to be involved in. I don't want to know that one.
So wait, we got Wally he had the 135, so it didn't, or 125, it didn't drain into the floor. Discus would be another great thing I want bad. A nice planted discus tank with a bunch of cardinal tetras in there too. Oh, maybe a lace catfish just zipping around, or a whole 40 school of Corys.
So okay, so we both worked in the pet shops and stuff when we were kids.
We sure did.
Yeah, we did. We did. My wife had a dozen neon tetras that lived for 4 years in a 2-gallon tank. I have never seen that ever. I mean, those were bulletproof. You could not kill them.
There's somebody who's done it. No matter what you have, there's somebody who's done it. Like, I kept angelfish in a milk jug for 25 years.
Well, yeah,
and they've
right,
been totally fine. There's some asshole out there that's done it, and it's horrible for the fish, but they'll all day long they'll tell you how they did it, and they don't know why it worked. It just did. And it's like,
yes, a lace catfish will eat it. A lace catfish will eat anything that gets in his mouth. If he could fit it in his mouth or even close, it'll eat it.
Yeah. Who put that in there? Oh, yeah, I don't know. That was Wally. Wally knows his fish. So I believe that Wally asked the question at the end, like, right? So he's now like, they'll eat the fish, stupid. Like, he says it like, he words it very nicely because Wally's super nice. Super nice. So he doesn't want to have anybody think that he's saying, like, hey, dummy, you can't do that. The 4-inch rule is an FDA law. You don't remember when we were kids and you'd go to Woolworths? That's dating me right now, Woolworth. Do you remember the fish bowl they'd have with like 40 of those baby turtles in it that you could get?
Well, here's the thing is that they had the rule, but they had nobody enforcing it. So like now we have the DNR that actually has a division that goes around. I actually, when I first got started, I had them show up at my house.
Yeah, I remember.
And they were asking me about specific things. And of course, I was just a keeper at that point, so I wasn't breeding anything or anything like that. But they weren't after me. They wanted the big fish. They wanted the guys that were doing.
You weren't breeding anything, but you had stuff you shouldn't have had, like technically.
I did. Well, at the time, I didn't realize. Again, like I said, so many things you could get online that I just went apeshit. I literally had one of the sites. I bought one of everything they had. One shipment. I just bought one of everything they had. It's because all these things. I've had a mata. You don't want to have one of those.
No, you don't. They're cool.
They get huge.
They're super.
Yeah, they get huge.
They're massive. My buddy's got a Fly River turtle. I think he's got 2 of them now.
I've had one of those.
They're little, but they're super cool. I've never seen anything like it. Wally, I remember Ben Franklin. I think there's still one in Wilmington. I think there might still be one in Wilmington, where I went to high school. Yeah, Woolworth. That's the only place I think I ever got the shit beat out of me in public by my parents. So we were in Woolworth, and they had the like soda fountain thing in the back too. I remember the like sandwich counter / soda fountain in the same mall as Our Living Things, if you recall. So they had a cage. It was a bird cage with irresponsible amount of parakeets in it. And I didn't know this. I think I was 5. I didn't do this on purpose, but I messed with the door and it opened. And then the Woolworth in the mall had parakeet problems for like the rest of the time that mall existed. So I was pretty sure all 50 of those parakeets got loose that day. And I thought it was hilarious.
I did not realize that was from you.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious until my mom got a hold of me.
You could be eating in the court and you'd see some of those flying around.
I had people that thought that they were just like let loose for part of the mall, like for part of the like coolness of the mall. Nah, that was me, bro.
Pet shop actually was where I learned how to swear, because they had an African gray parrot that had known every swear word known to man that I did not know. And I just I went in there maybe every other day.
Yep.
Just to walk around and I learned quite a bit that came out of that bird's mouth.
Yeah, because we were little. We were little when that store was around. Um,
I
was it at
almost took
Louis
that bird
Joliet? That was
actually
at Jefferson
when the
Street.
huh?
That was at the Jefferson Mall, right? Or was it at Louis
Yes,
Joliet?
yeah, hmm, yeah.
Okay. Okay. That mall's not, it doesn't even exist anymore, you guys. It's bulldozed for Walmart. So Walmart could go in there. And Menards. See all the birds flying around
Yeah,
getting a
that bird
beating
I
from
almost
them?
yeah, when they closed their doors, I almost got that bird too.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm
That's
glad I
cool.
didn't in hindsight,
Yeah.
but
The people that had
I mean
Ajax, the monkey,
that blue
like
front Amazon that we had, that was bad enough. I don't know, that African gray would have been too much to deal with.
parrots are a big responsibility. I'm trying to get somebody to talk to me about parrots here soon. I've been trying to do it since I started the show, and every time somebody bags out, I had a girl that was going to come on and talk about owls, and then she dropped off the face of the earth. But she's into falconry, and I was like, oh, let's talk about that. I'm envisioning
Yeah,
Doug as a 9-year-old.
looking at chat, I didn't need the spiral bind notebook because I had a memory back then, and I could use it.
Yeah,
Unlike now, I need that just to remember where my bathroom is in my house. But
I'm
I
headed
need a
that
map.
way. I'm headed that
Yeah,
way. Do you ever walk in the
just get
bathroom
the
and
pad out.
forget? Like you walk into the next room looking for something and you forget why you went in there. I do that in the bathroom now.
Yeah,
I like walk to the bathroom and be like,
yeah.
why did I come in here? Why did I come in the bathroom? 9 times out of 10, it's like a Q-tip. I needed a Q-tip for something. 9-year-old practicing his curse words for attention. You would say hello to
Oh,
this
and
bird, and the bird would be like,
so
fuck
here's
you.
the thing. So what makes that funny? What makes that whole thing funny is my house was a Bible thumping house. There was no swearing in my mom and dad's house.
Oh, yeah. So they heard that bird too. They heard that bird
Yeah.
too. This pet shop had
Oh yeah.
everything. Everything. I should try to track down the owners. They're probably dead. They're probably dead, right?
Oh sure, yeah. Yeah, because they were in
Probably.
their 40s when we were kids.
Yeah, they're probably super dead. Yeah, we were like 10 years old, maybe.
Super dead. I don't think you
Super
can be any
dead.
more than just dead. No.
I don't know. I think they probably like were keeping pythons or something in Florida and got like roped up by the python. So,
Oh yeah, that's
which
actually the first time I seen an anaconda was the one they had.
really,
Yeah.
wow. That's the first snake that taught me respect for snakes. I always thought like, how do you get killed by a snake? Don't just like grab their head and crush it. And then the
Yeah,
guys
not
at
that.
Crosstown Exotics, I went to go see one of their shows and they draped the anaconda over my shoulders. It was like an 8-year-old, not even that big. And it was just a sleeve of muscle that I felt on me. And I was like, oh God, this is kind of terrifying just having it on me. Totally cool snake, but still the power. When somebody asked me a question when I walk inside the cooler, I immediately forget what I was going to. Yep. Don't talk to me when I'm going into the next room because I won't know why I'm doing it. And going in a cooler with 5,000 ingredients in it? Nah, forget it. Forget it. Reed taught me to chef for anybody that's watching now. Yeah, I think it'd be great. What are you doing for food for a mud turtle? What's their main diet? Is it like snails and worms and stuff?
So, I don't know what Sam uses because Missouri has they have turtle food and tortoise food. And,
Who
but
does you cut
typically,
out there? What's the name of the company?
uh, sorry, Missouri. I can't or Missouri. I can't remember the exact pronunciation of
Okay.
it. If you look up turtle food, it'll pop right up because it's like one of the most popular ones you can get. But I actually was using cichlid food, like cichlid coloring food, and what it would do, it had almost the exact same ingredients. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Sam. Um,
Mazura.
it almost had the exact same ingredients, except it had this color enhancement thing in it. So in
Okay.
the yellows and the reds would like really pop, especially if you fed the hatchlings that all the way through.
Okay. Cool.
Otherwise, all the other nutritional requirements were there. So it was that. Um, Occasionally, I do like fresh cut tilapia, but you have to be careful with that because sometimes they have like worms and stuff in it. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, 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 they produce all sorts of types of food for the pet industry. Um, uh, frozen bloodworms, uh, shrimp,
Is that their thing
krill.
though?
I
Like
mean, there's
mollusks?
tons of stuff. Yeah, the biggest
Yeah.
thing is that if you feed any kind of meaty food that has oils in it, it'll end up at the top of the tank of the water, and
Oh
you'll
yeah,
have
that
this
makes
like
sense. Yeah.
film of scum on it. So if you don't have a filter that pulls the water from the top, you're going to get that film, and it's going to get scummy if you do
I
that.
gotta remember what
So
it
a lot
was.
of people,
There's
what they do is they'll take the animal out of the enclosure and feed it in a separate tub, and then
okay.
once it's done eating, then they go ahead and put it back, and they'll get used to doing that. If you stick them in the tub, they're thinking that food's coming. Yeah, night crawlers.
I did that with my turtles because then you could just dump the tub. You know, I was doing it with my blue tongue skink, but I stopped. She poops in one spot, so like every time she poops in the same spot, so I just scoop that. It's all good. It was her water dish, that because she's an asshole. Canadian night crawlers. I like to see an animal eat something about as long as it is, like a worm, and they just like keep working at it, like giant spaghetti.
Yeah.
The best. Um, yeah, I just think they're so cool. I just think these guys are so cool, and they would have to be having like they're scavengers too, right? They'll go after stuff that's already dead.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
could.
Anything, which is why, like, if you be with them and you have capture customers and they die, you have to be careful of that because they have those spines, and it'll actually.
Yeah.
I had a black marsh turtle one time ate part of a plecostomus, and the spines got stuck
Oh,
inside the throat, and she couldn't eat. Like, so I ended up having to take her to the vet to get that removed because it actually got to the point where it actually the only reason I knew what happened was the spine started protruding from the side of the neck, and it
ugh.
actually punctured through the skin, so I could tell what was there. Because otherwise, it just appeared like she did stopped eating. And those particular, they call them smiling turtles or panda turtles.
Okay.
And basically, they're almost like a Chinese temple turtle, similar type thing. Um, but they're really hard, especially if there's something wild caught or something like that. It's really hard to get them to eat. So for her to stop eating, I didn't think a whole lot of it. It was just that's kind of a waiting game. You kind of see how long, because they can go a month without eating or anything and then kick right back in, and it's fine.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
and that's when I found out that there was a plecostomus in that tank that I didn't realize it had put away, and she it, and it got stuck. The barbs got stuck. She
Yeah,
was
because
fine
those
after
keep.
that. I just had to get that out of there.
She just wanted to cost you $4,000. That's all.
Yeah. I
Turtle
think I've started
surgery.
to become one of those guys that don't remember everything he's got because I'm just now remembered I had those.
I mean, it's hard to tell over your lifetime what you had. Somebody will mention an animal, be like, "Oh my god, I have that." My daughter, we went to the zoo Sunday for the Festival of Lights or whatever BS they're doing right now. It sucked. So, like half the zoo was closed. You couldn't go in the buildings, but they have a carousel, and every horse is just an animal from the zoo, right? Or not from the zoo,
Yeah.
just an animal. So she's talking to other kids because my kid never stops talking. And she's pointing to the animals that the kids are sitting on. My daddy's touched one of those, one of those, one of those. So this kid had me go through the carousel with him after the ride was over and show him, like, yep, I pet that, pet that, pet that. So now I have to remember. I have to make a list because I can't remember all the animals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, especially back in the day when we were young, like, I don't know. I have to keep track of what I kept well because when we were kids, we didn't know any better. We just thought it'd
Yeah.
be cool to have these things.
Actually, you guys don't think this is funny. I didn't at the time. So I was in high school. I was working at that pet shop that pet land that I worked at, and I had gotten an emperor scorpion, and she was pregnant. She had babies. I was super excited, and I had them separated because they were crawling on and off over, and I was worried they were going to get. I had this big terrarium thing set up for it, so I gathered them all up and I had them in this other enclosure, and uh, they were perfectly fine when I went to school. I come home, they're all dead. Every single one of them is dead. I was devastated. It was like my first thing that I ever bred that had babies. I was devastated. That was when I was 15. Fast
Okay.
forward, I'm 50. My mom is living with me. My dad passed away and she came in and lived with us. So she's been with us for like 15 years at that point. And we're at the dinner table and I'm discussing the kids about the different animals and stuff I kept. And then mom pops up and she says, "Yeah, you never knew that I took all those baby scorpions. I shook the shit out of them and killed them and then put them back down like so they all
By
died."
shaking them?
I was so mad. I mean, my mom had just, she's passed away now a year ago, but I was still mad. I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" Kids are, they get a crack up out of it. That was like
Doug,
a 40-year injustice. It was
Doug snuck
terrible.
a scorpion into the casket. Like,
Yeah, she was. Well, she was worried she was going to have a bunch of scorpions. Yeah, she wasn't thrilled about the one.
Yeah,
Because the majority of the stuff they never knew I had because it was in my room and they, you know, like I'd have praying mantises and stuff. Well, speaking of which, I have one now. Yeah, I'd have
just
stuff
loose.
in my room that they never knew that I had.
Oh yeah.
Snakes, like all sorts of garter snakes and stuff. And
Anybody ever keep a snake in a shoebox for the weekend? No, nobody.
not in a shoebox, but I have in a planter box though.
Yeah, see, kept one in a shoebox for like 3 days. Wound up letting it go because I just couldn't. It had gotten away like twice in the house. It's like if this happens, thank God I got rid of it because it would have died.
I think the worst thing my parents had to deal with was I had a couple of newts get loose out of a tank, and they just roamed the house until they couldn't find. They went in the laundry basket because that was the most moist spot they could find.
Okay,
crayfish. I've had crayfish get out of the house when I was a kid. But my worst one was tree frogs, and I let it go in one of my mom's pothos plants, and they bred, and we had tree frogs all over the house. That's my worst one. That's probably my worst one.
That's too funny.
Kind of makes sense why she killed the scorpions after that, because I was young when I did that.
She knew better. Don't let this happen. Guys, do we have any more questions about mud turtles?
Hey, you talk about a tangent, man. We really did get on one.
I told you.
You warned me it was going to happen.
I don't. I get on tangents with people I just met. So somebody I've been friends with for 30 odd years. We're gonna have our stories. I'm putting stories down. I'm like, no, this is totally edited stories.
Yeah. There's about half of them I could. There's about half of them I couldn't say about Josh unless I knew what everybody's age was in the chat.
Oh, that's what you wanted to know is the age. Our youngest.
Oh, no, I don't need to know it. I'm just saying there's stories that I wouldn't tell because I don't know.
That's funny. Yeah, we had a. Well, she was 9 at the time when she was on my buddy Jose's daughter, and she watched the show. I found out she watched the show, and then I didn't swear for a couple months. It's a great show. Looking forward to next week. Me too, Sam. Me too. So you seem to know a little bit.
I'll have to tune in, and I'm not as familiar with tortoises as I am aquatic turtles and wood turtles. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I got to get with Sam and narrow it down. I want to narrow it down. The problem with talking about I'm going to talk with Doug about turtles. There's a billion kinds of turtles that all have different requirements. So we had to narrow it down to like one thing. So guys, that brings me to this. So guys, if in the future, if you want to see more like different species of turtles we could talk about, or whatever, tortoises, if we didn't cover it, this is all very general knowledge, very general stuff we hit today. But, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know. I check all the comments. Moon can tell you. I respond to every single comment, all 3 of them. 3 is a good week. But next week, we're going to talk to Sam from Soda's Exotics. So people should tune in for that. I'm sure I'll have some new guests for that. Our new audience members for that. We have, you don't really sell anything anymore, so I can't pimp anything for you. So that's kind of nice.
What's that?
You don't really sell anything anymore, Doug. So I can't pimp anything for you.
No, my son does Moosey's geckos.
Moosey?
And yeah, he does leopard geckos. So basically when I got out of the turtles instead of my wife getting her laundry room back. He just took it over for leopard geckos. So now he does like
Black
black
Knights
knights.
mostly, right?
Yeah, mostly
Yeah,
black knights right now. Hmm.
yeah. But he's branching out. I heard he was branching out into some other genres. Is that true, or did I mishear that?
Yeah, he's looking at picking up a couple blue tongue skinks.
Or was it Boozy? It's Boozy.
Yeah, boozy. And then and
Blue Tongue Skinks. That's a look into that hard. Look into the market for that hard. Okay, for the Blue Tongues.
yeah. Yeah. No, I've
Um,
steered him from a couple already, but
I know a couple of people that have a hard time moving their livestock, their brood.
so the reason is
So
because they had like a 3-year span where they were super hot
yeah,
and
hmm
they overbred, and there's so much out in the market now. Um,
that's everything.
actually,
That is everything.
crocodile skinks are a cool thing to get into right now. The
Mhm.
red-eyed ones. um, monkey-tail skinks, actually, believe it or not, are kind of making their way back.
They're
Um,
bastards. I don't know if you ever been bit by one of those. That sucks.
yeah. Let's
But they're
see.
cool. They look cool. I remember we had them at Petland back in the day.
The was it the Chinese or Japanese cave geckos? We saw those at the show actually
We did,
when we
yeah.
went
Always
to.
got those.
Um,
Well, Supreme Geckos has those.
yeah,
I
lots of
like the
different geckos.
knobtail. I would love to get another knobtail. So, but I'm at my capacity
Yeah,
right now.
never had one of those, but
Not in the
I've seen them
market.
at the shows.
Super cool.
Talked to vendors about them, but
Super cool species.
can't really think of what else is kind of like the up and coming. You know, turtles have kind of like leveled themselves out as far as like the ones that are like expensive to get or popular to have or whatnot. If you're
Yeah.
like a top tier, pretty much have been about the same.
Yeah.
Uh, although they did just 2 years ago they discovered a new mud turtle that's completely illegal to have, right? Because they've only found it in like one little pond system. And
Okay.
the only difference is it gets this like the males have this big yellow, almost like Rudolph style part on their snoot, and they're super small. They're only like 3 inches long.
Okay. Yeah. So
Kind of
no.
like a bog turtle for us.
So you can fit the adults in your mouth. Not
Hmm?
good. You can fit the
Yeah, that
adults in
one.
your
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that might be one of the reasons is
not good.
because it doesn't get that long to begin with. Bog turtles,
Bog.
yeah, it's about the size of a bog turtle. Yeah. Um,
I think he might be asking what you're talking about. I don't
well,
know.
what a bog turtle is. So it's a very small turtle that's about 3.5 inches long as an adult. It's a northern to southern United States species, and it sticks primarily in marshlands, so it's not a deep water turtle by any means.
Okay. I thought you were talking about big
Well, no,
turtle.
no,
Okay.
yeah, no, oh, big turtles. There's some massive ones that typically a big turtle is going to be around a foot and a half, maybe 16 inches, 17 inches long. Obviously, you can get bigger ones.
We're gonna we're gonna talk about sulcatas next week, Sam, a little bit. So be ready for that conversation. I'm gonna call the pet store I know that I love. We're gonna have some hard conversations. Um. Anyway.
Do not buy
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do
Don't buy
not buy
one.
one.
Don't buy one unless you want that to be your lifestyle. That's cool. If that's your jam, that's your jam. But otherwise, yeah, no, don't support that. All right, Doug, I'm gonna put you out. You can hang out if you want to BS after this or not. That's normally what
Okay, all
happens.
right. Nice meeting all you guys. Have a good night.
Yep.
And yeah.
We will. We will. That was fun. That was fun. Having a old timey friend on here is like, this is a top moment in the show. I don't know if you can see all my awesome spider webbed wires over here, but that's going to change soon. I'm not very proud of that right now. I just noticed it and went, oh God. So guys, yeah, next week we're going to talk to Sam. Then we're going to take a couple of weeks off, I think, for Christmas. I'm pretty sure. And then we're going to come back and do some episodes that I've been waiting to do or that got postponed or whatever, because we have a lot to get over. So coming into 2025, we're going to hit the ground running. We're going to go hard. 2025. Okay. It's going to be the time. So hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday. All right. Have a good one. And if we don't see you next Tuesday, have a great Christmas. Okay. Or holiday or whatever you celebrate. I don't know. Christmas is my thing. So we'll talk to you guys later. Love you. And I don't know how long it takes to bump out of here.